did all these things to prepare us to go into the classroom and teach students. However, they did not prepare me to take care of myself and still show up for 100 plus students every single day. And I mean, to the point where it was easier to go to work than it was to take off and take care of my own emotional and mental well-being. And I believe that a healthy teacher is a better teacher. And my teaching was impacted. My patience was impacted. All the things that impact the students were affected by my own struggles. And the reason why we became teachers supporting teachers, because I always said no one understood the life of a teacher like another teacher.
Yeah.
What up, though, Black Fridays family? Welcome back to another installment of the Black Fridays podcast. Before we get into today's episode, I need you to hit that like button, subscribe, drop a comment, send some videos to family, friends, and loved ones so that we keep this thing going. Yeah. Now that we got that business out of the way, it's back to school season, and obviously everybody is worried about our youth and our young people going back to school. But what if I told you it was an organization that asked the question, what about the teachers? So with me today, I have Teachers Supporting Teachers Everywhere Incorporated in the building. How y'all doing today?
Doing well.
Good.
Wonderful.
Excited to be here.
Yes.
Excited to have y'all on the podcast. What took y'all so long?
I don't know. Just trying to make sure we was bringing some good stuff to the table.
Okay. Well, you've been doing that for quite a while now. And
Absolutely.
Before I get into the backstory behind TSTE, I would love to, I believe within this room, correct me if I'm wrong, but like combined work experience and education, you all probably have close to 100 years between the three of you?
Potentially.
So
yes,
that's a lot of wisdom and knowledge, especially when it comes to working with young people. So I first want to ask the question, because I always say it takes a special person to be a teacher, want to be a teacher. How did you all get into teaching? And I'll start with you, Mrs. Dunlap, to my left.
Oh, wow. Really? So when I was a little girl, from probably the time I was able to, maybe like around second, third grade, I would help the first and second grade teachers clean up their rooms, and they would let me take home worksheets. And so I had younger siblings, and that allowed me to use those worksheets and tell other people what to do. And I really enjoyed it. And so I said I would like to be a teacher. And I kind of like played around with it. Then I thought teachers didn't make enough money. And then I went in another direction, only to end up back in teaching.
Miss Lane, I'm going to go to you next.
I would say that in education, to be someone's inspiration, to always make sure that you are reaching the scholars that are before you. So to always make sure that you make a mark.
Miss Shaq?
I was a very, very shy kid growing up. And there were teachers that were in my world that helped me find my voice. And I think of Miss Davis right now, who was my seventh grade teacher. I hated science, but I loved her. So for me, I was inspired to do what they did for me, help students find their voice as they journey through life. You know, so to have that support system, those mentors very early on, which were teachers. And I didn't have a lot of, she was my first Black female role model that I looked up to, because I grew up down south, Arkansas. So that was powerful to me. And then to be able to go on and help shape and mold the minds of students, that's my passion.
That's amazing. And now we got to get into TSTE. So I feel like I've had the pleasure of being around since pretty much the inception of TSTE, and would love to know when did you get this inkling that you wanted to be able to focus on teachers like wellness and well-being and start an organization to do something about that? Granted that teachers most of the time are not experts in that space.
Okay, so can I do a little do-over?
Yeah.
Okay, of course, when my colleagues here shared their experiences, of course, I went all the way back to the little girl. But when I graduated from college, I was a manager at Winkleman's. Some of you all out there might remember Winkleman's. And of course, who works in the retail stores? A lot of high school students. And they would come in lacking some skills. And I was like, ooh, somebody need to go into schools and help them figure out how to do this and apply for jobs and all those things. So that's really what led me back to teaching after I graduated from college. So that's the more mature reason why I went into teaching. However, the story of TSTE kind of started when we started my first contract position. The year before, I had experienced the loss of my sister in a car train accident, and she was one of my biggest support systems. And that was when I had first graduated with my master's, and I got my first contract position. And it was with ninth graders. And if anyone has been around a lot of ninth graders, they can be very challenging. And it was like I was being tested on all ends and not being well mentally and emotionally myself. It was very difficult. And then as soon as I started that job, there was another tragedy. My mother-in-law was in a car accident. My daughter was in that accident. And it was like, that was October. I had just started that job in August. And so it was super, super challenging. And I was like, where's the help? Everybody was just like, give me this, do that. And we had no curriculum. All the things that could be a challenge was a challenge. And I was like, wait a minute, hold on. They did all these things to prepare us to go into the classroom and teach students. However, they did not prepare me to take care of myself and still show up for 100+ students every single day, doing all the things that were required of me as a teacher, especially a new teacher. And I thought to myself, this is not good. You know, if it's one of me here, and not to mention other times in my career where I suffered burnout or, again, personal life challenges, if there's just one person like me in every district, that's a lot of people that are out here suffering. And I mean, to the point where it was easier to go to work than it was to take off and take care of my own emotional and mental well-being. And I believe that a healthy teacher is a better teacher. And my teaching was impacted. My patience was impacted. All the things that impact the students were affected by my own struggles. And I thought somebody needs to do something about that. And throughout my 23 years in the classroom at that point, I came up with different ideations of what I thought supporting teachers would be, and settled on really focusing on their emotional and mental well-being and celebrating them for the work they do, because oftentimes no one else is doing that.
And then real quick, before I go to your esteemed board members, could you tell us some of the services and program and activities that Teachers Supporting Teachers does for that community of educators?
Okay, great. Yes. We have a number of programs. We started out with just our micro grant, where we support schools that have workplace wellness programs. However, they lack resources. So we started out literally with that program. And then it just by nature of the beast, we came up with our Happy Monday, Happy Friday. We sent out gift cards to teachers on Mondays and Fridays. Start your week, end your week on a positive note, which led to our adoptive school, which eventually became Project Refuel. We go into different schools every month, and we take our Project Refuel, where we literally have a dashboard that teachers can look at and assess their well-being and look at ways and things they need to do or can do to improve their well-being. And finally, our workplace wellness program, which we were fortunate enough to start in the Jalen Rose Leadership Academy, where we go in every single month, do a wellness check-in. We have a workbook. We bring in a therapist. We bring in snacks and refreshments, and we do something special for them when they come back, a welcome back, and during Teacher Appreciation Week. So those are the main programs.
Very nice. And so for your board members, would love to know, for you all, in addition to being friends, sisters, fellow educators, and getting a chance to do life together, what made you want to buy into the mission and be a part of the board for TST, given everything that Mr. Dunlap just mentioned?
I would say that I was so inspired by Jackie's dedication to supporting teachers, knowing that we were in the trenches together at the school and how stressful it can be. and that it was important to reach back and to help and support those teachers. So I was so passionate about it, and I promised that once I retire, I will be like full time, but I definitely wanted to be a part of it in any way, shape, or form.
You know, I'm sitting here and I listened to all of the programs that Jackie, Miss Dunlap named off, and it's just like, wow. Like when we started, you know, it was just one program that we had.
Yes.
And I'm like, the work that has been done and what's been created, and to be behind a founder who is so inspirational and passionate about doing the work, right? And so for me, I want to be aligned with people who are truly passionate about, they don't just talk about it, but they put their feet to the road and they do the work. So, Jackie, not just the program, but just, you know, one thing that came into my mind, Pouring from an Empty Cup, which is a book that she wrote, along with the workbook for educators. And when I say that is exactly what happens to educators, is that, you know, people don't understand that when we go in there every day and you have 25, 30 kids per hour, that is so much that goes into that. They don't really get it. Everybody don't really get it, but we get it because we're in it every day.
Yeah.
So to have to leave from that environment every day, you know, you're depleted at the end of the day. It takes so much more than just coming up and teaching the curriculum. We're everything. We have so many roles, you know, in the classroom. So to have to be a part of something that, you know, going into the schools and the things that she, you know, able to do with the foundation, the organization, teachers just a cup of the coffee things that she, what is it? What is it? The hot chocolate.
The cocoa
bar that happens in the school. That's amazing. The teachers being able to get the cards that she gives, the different gift cards. It's just something so simple when they're going through, because one of the things that the foundation does, Miss Jackie, incorporated into the organization, is that giving teachers who are grieving, which is something that she was that happened to her, making sure that she goes into the school, asks the questions, what teachers need these services, and then just to get that in their mailbox or deliver it to the happiness and the joy, you know, when she took the pictures of the what's the little cafe thing that you do, you go in, and so to experience that and to see it, that's joy. So to be a part of that is what it's all about.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And that's one of the things that I really enjoy about TST is the human first approach to teachers and their well-being and thinking about them as a whole person. Because I'll be honest, like, especially in high school, I just like my teachers, I only see them in school and that they don't exist outside of here. So to actually, and I think a lot of people, unfortunately, think that way when it comes to teachers and education. So I appreciate that aspect of the work. So if y'all don't mind, I want to have a little fun on Black Fridays and introduce y'all to my favorite part, which is Freestyle Fridays.
Sure.
So which one of y'all gonna start rapping first? We're gonna do a rap cipher. So whichever one of y'all want to start first, and then I'm gonna finish it off.
I don't want to hurt anybody. That is not my forte. Leave that one alone.
Or y'all could just ask some rapid fire questions, answer some rapid fire questions.
I go with the questions.
All right, perfect.
Same.
So, and I want you to finish this sentence. In high school, I was blank.
Wow.
In high school, I was lost. And I believe that through teaching, I was able to reach a lot of scholars in middle school that probably needed, the Melanie back in high school needed a teacher like myself.
Okay. In high school, there were several ideations of me. I went to Cass. And anyone who knows anything about Cass knows that there are some there's a variety of the different demographics that attend Cass. I happen to be one of the ones that definitely was not popular, and we were not, the fortunate ones economically, and therefore, you kind of disappear into the background. And then, so it was like finding my way, doing things, being low key, but of course, finding something that I was able to find passion in, and which was my sewing, which led me to the Fashion Institute of Technology. So I would say I was just someone that was really in high school trying to figure out how to become something other than just another person in Detroit not able to make it.
Mm-hmm.
In high school, I was blessed enough to be able to have some teachers that helped me find my gifts and my talents, to discover who I was at that age. I was very shy, as I said earlier, but that's what happened for me. And then, it's a power when you begin to discover who you are, it's so empowering, which led me to join more clubs and organizations, which helped to me, getting, prepared for college, so that's my piece.
Okay. And then, so I'll never forget, in college, I did a alternative spring break trip, went down to Chicago, was working at a Chicago middle school, getting third graders prepared for the exam that would allow them to move on to the fourth grade. And the teacher that we work with, he basically just was like, because he'd be so stressed out, at the end of the day, he got to go home and he had to crack him open a cold beer. Like that was his relaxation and decompression from the day. So I want to ask y'all, being in the classroom, what was that one thing that when you got off work, you had to do for yourself to keep yourself going mentally to like be able to decompress from the long day and the activities?
Okay. For me, it was, especially when the weather was nice, I had to go outside and sit in my yard. And I will say that was my saving grace, because at my lowest point in education, my lowest point, it was sitting in my backyard where I got the realization or the vision to do teacher supporting teachers the way it is today, where it was all about the wellness. And that, again, knowing that if it was just one of me in every district, then there was a problem in this country. And that's where I got the vision. So sitting in my yard, being in nature, and being able just to regroup.
Mine was crafting. Like, I love to craft. So first shopping, and then bringing home the crafting things and just creating. So that took my mind away from a lot of the stressors of the day.
I would find myself in a theater by myself after school, because a good movie can just take me away.
Wow.
Right? So I would find myself just after work, catching a 5 o'clock little movie, and a lot of times the theater would be empty. But that was my time where I could just, regroup and just be taken away from whatever I was feeling or thinking about.
And I know all of y'all like to travel. So if you have to pick one destination and you get a chance to pack a carry-on and you go there tomorrow, where you going?
One destination. Well, right now, I will say, after going back to New York last year, again, I went to the Fashion Institute of Technology, and I went back for an alumni weekend last year. We had such a good time. I see in my mind a lot of times just like, man, if I could just go live in New York. It would be like a fun thing, but with money. Not living in New York as a college student, but living in New York with some money. You think about is restaurants everywhere you turn. The life, the energy is just different. And of course, again, that was my first time going back to New York in a while. And, to have the resources to stay in a nice hotel in the city and do the things. New York right now.
Okay.
I would say my goal is to take an Alaskan cruise. So that will be my next venture.
I want to go to Africa. I've never gone to Africa, and everybody that I've known that's gone there just had wonderful stories to tell. So if I could pack my bags, I would go to Africa.
Okay. So I don't know if y'all know this now, but I got a chance to teach a class recently, so I'm going to start calling myself professor, even though I might not have the credentials. So I want to get invited on these trips as well. So I get to decompress from teaching my 3 classes that I taught.
But technically, you have the credentials to teach college,
You
so you
absolutely
can truly
do.
call yourself a
Yes.
professor at
Okay.
this
are.
point.
I will add
Yes.
that. I'm gonna need a doctorate out. I'm good on that. But I can be called professor, so I take that. And then last but
Yes.
not least, favorite teacher from any point in time in
Mm.
your life, and what makes them memorable.
I have quite a few. I mean, a number of them, I should say. But let's see. Favorite teacher. Oh, Dr. Gardner. How could I forget Dr. Gardner? When I was in high school, Dr. Gardner was the department chair for family and community services. She was my sewing instructor. She was my what did they call that? Foods. They didn't call it cooking. They called it something else. It was
Home
more
ec?
technical. Foods class, I'll say that, at Cass. She was forever correcting my English. She was all of the things. She was the person I invited to my wedding. It was an honor to see her in her later days. She lived down by Wayne State before Midtown was Wayne State became Midtown. And Amanda and I were walking down the street, and she was sitting on her porch. And even then, she wasn't alert. I shouldn't say alert. She wasn't as aware as she was and sharp when I had her in high school. But just the fact that I was able to introduce Amanda to her, like, that's Dr. Gardner. And she wouldn't come off her porch. We was on the other side of the fence, but she did talk to us. So Dr. Gardner,
Okay.
because she really cared. It was obvious. And she even mentioned it to me one day, like, do you think I just do all this stuff just because? It was like, she said, because I know you can do better and I want better for you. So Dr. Gardner, rest in peace, Dr. Gardner.
Mine would be Mrs. Scott. She was my middle school math teacher. And math was easy when I was in elementary, but once I got to middle school, it was like, whoa. And so she took the time and care with students, and she was so beautiful. It was just such an inspiration to see her in those like tall heels and those pencil skirts. And she was just very soft-spoken, but definitely an inspiration.
Miss Davis. I'm going to go back to Miss Davis. But Jackie, like you said, there were so many teachers that were so impactful in my life. But Miss Davis, my grandmother played an instrumental role in helping to raise me. So she trusted her enough to allow her to take me to parades and take me to the local city next, to where we lived. And I think back now, I'm so grateful that she allowed Miss Davis to do those things so I could experience more things. My grandmother was a little older. But recently, short story, I found her picture. So I was trying to figure out her first name. I couldn't remember. And I was going through teacher things that I was trying to, go through and organize and throw away things. And I found her. I said, is this her picture that I had kept all those years? And I turned the picture over and it had her name, Jackie Davis.
Wow.
Right? So, and that's a special name since my dear friend. So I said, oh my God. So, because I was wanting to find out where she is and find out information about her. So I go back to Miss Davis, science teacher. I hated science, but I loved her. Yeah.
Amazing. And then I got a bonus one. We're really going to have some fun with this one. So I didn't mention that this is basically family that I have here. So Ms. Shack and Ms. Land are respectfully my aunties and have adopted me as such. And Mrs. Dunlap is my mother-in-law. So my question for you is, what was your first impression of me when you met me? and what was going through your mind? And I'm going to get to y'all in a second.
Are you serious?
Yes, ma'am.
I love it. Okay, then. So, of course, I don't know. I just was like, you seem like a nice kid. Because at that time, I believe you were finishing up your undergrad degree.
Down college, yeah.
Right. Okay. So had finished or were finishing?
We're finished.
We're finished. Okay. And so it seemed like a nice kid. Of course, I got a little background. And I was just like, okay, he seemed like he got a plan, of course. Never knowing that all these years later, we would be true family. But yeah, I will say that, it's a nice kid. Again, who you look like. I was like, wait a minute. Now that's a coincidence. So other than, yeah, definitely. I was like, okay, he seemed like a nice kid.
Okay. And then did she say anything to y'all? That's my follow-up question.
So yes, for
Man,
sure.
she hang around with this guy.
Highly, highly
Yes.
impressed by you. So I
Yes.
always heard wonderful things even before you all planned to get married. I always heard how amazing Denzel was. And meeting you, just such a gentleman. You just touched my heart, and you truly have become my nephew for sure.
Thank you.
Yes, you know, and ditto to what Miss Land said. You know, she always have had so many positive, wonderful things to say about you, as well as your beautiful wife.
Yeah.
But your spirit, you know, I met you before you at some Christmas party, and you were walking around. You had just happened to come in from out of town, and I kind of briefly met you. But you know, just your beautiful spirit. Thank you for embracing us as your aunties. You know, you opened your arms and took us in, just like you've known us forever. And you just, you know, the work that you're doing,
Yes.
to be able to just this podcast, like allowing people to tell their story.
Yes.
You know, like come on, like what? What's your name? Denzel.
And if I might add something to it, now and Amanda knows, like you and I have always had a connection anyway.
Yeah.
If it wasn't the entrepreneurship, it was like the websites and everything. It was like I always had a reason to call Denzel for something. So we just connected, I think. Would you not agree? I think
agree.
we pretty much just
Yes.
connected to the point where somebody be having something to say sometimes.
Yeah.
We just connected.
You know, it'd be like that sometimes.
Yes.
But I appreciate y'all. I love y'all. And thank you very much for the kind words. I'm going to cash app y'all because
Cash app.
y'all followed the script to say everything I had written up for y'all to say about me.
Yes,
so I
for certain.
appreciate that.
Yes.
So thank you for partaking in
Thank
Freestyle
you.
Fridays. Definitely appreciate y'all for that. And Mr. Dunlap, we talked a little bit about your career path and trajectory and where you are now with TSTE, but then also, obviously, outside of the confines of TSTE, Ms. Land, Ms. Shaq, respectfully, you all have your own things going on. You have life going on and in terms of education and your career. So just, if you don't mind, would you be open to telling us more about currently the work that you do and how that impacts our young people?
Go ahead.
Oh goodness. Okay. So I retired about the same time that Miss Dunlap retired, and my goal has always been to be able to expand the work that I do in some way. So 2017 was when I started Inspire Classroom Solutions, and then I really dug deeper into what I do when I retired. So the whole goal for me is to develop programming that is relevant, transformational, inspirational for students as they discover their gifts and talents and find their voice. So I've been very fortunate to be able to go out and to do that work. And started through students that I had taught who were waiting on me to retire and said, okay, Ms. Shaq, when you're ready, you know, let's go out into the schools and to do this. And then to put me in a position where that grant money is there for me to do it. I don't have to doing the work and then running an organization, a nonprofit is a whole lot when you don't have people to go and do the work, be in the buildings doing the work for you. So that's been a blessing that I can go in, touch kids every year through the schools that I work with. And I like to go into my schools that don't get the programming, East English Village, Communication Media Arts High School, all those schools that they don't have the money and the funding, but because of Gear Up and Trio, they're able to do that. Working with Midnight Golf, we've been working with them and different organizations, Rhonda Walker Foundation. So it's just been a blessing to be able to do what I do, my passion work, and number one, it's appreciated by the organizations that I work with, and there's a need for it. You know, these kids are going out into this crazy, chaotic, and confusing world, and they got to have something extra, you know? So it's all get the X factor, developing students who are branded for success. They walk away with that extra something, which I call the X factor.
Love it.
I want to piggyback on what you said because X Factor is amazing.
We can all
I
attest to
was
that.
blessed to see one of the performances, and the work that you're doing is amazing, second to none. and children in the inner city that need that extra, you are definitely blessing them with. So
Thank you.
I'm just so impressed by that.
Man.
But with me, I am currently still in education. I am in my 25th year of education. I am currently the school's community school coordinator, as we are a community school in the city of Southfield. So just meeting the needs of our entire community, making sure that families have wraparound services, our families. We're blessed to have a health clinic in our building that was named after my late son. And just meeting the needs of families. And that is my passion.
Amazing. And you all have some, but when people see this episode, it's going to be your week of activations for getting prepared for our back to school season. So let's could you tell us a little bit more about that and how people can engage with you all during this time frame?
Yes, so we're calling that week Supporting Teachers and Strengthening Communities, because one part I did mention when I mentioned the programming was the workplace wellness program has evolved into, in certain partner schools, the Bridging Wellness and Learning, where we support the entire school community, providing targeted resources for students and parents as well. And so that's where we come in with the whole communities, and not to mention the fact that when you support teachers, you are supporting students. So it runs from Monday the 24th through Saturday the 29th. Monday is all about appreciation, being grateful, show appreciation for a teacher or a mentor that poured into you, and being grateful just because gratitude makes everything better. Day 2, Tuesday, is $10 Tuesday. Again, it's about fundraising and awareness. So people can donate to us through our 3 platforms, Givelify, PayPal, or Cash App. And information will be available online on our various platforms on Instagram, Facebook, etc. They can do $10 Tuesday or more. As a matter of fact, as the founder, I am matching the first $500 in donations on that day as well. And then Wednesday is a wellness day. Do something for yourself to take care of your own well-being. Thursday, we're having what we call our After the Bell series. It's the first one for the fall. It will be at the Boulevard Restaurant on Northwestern Highway from 4:30 to 6 o'clock. We're pairing it with our Back to School for Teachers. So we'll have teaching classroom resources in addition to the first 20 people who come in as a teacher with their current school ID. We'll buy them an appetizer up to $20. And if you register in advance, as well as bring in your ID and show up, you'll get a bonus teacher gift as supplies last. And then there's, Thursday? Friday. It's $5 Friday, another day for you to pour back into the teachers. Another day I'm matching the first $500 in donations. Me, the founder, director, put your money where your mouth is. And then on Saturday, our final event is our TST Everyday Wellness bubble walk, community bubble walk on the DeQuinder Cut. And some people are like, what's a bubble walk? Well, everybody can walk, but I wanted to put a different spin on it. So we started bringing bubbles. And it's just an amazing experience to see adults and children blowing bubbles. And it's fun to be on the cut because you don't have to worry about traffic. The kids can run and play. You have different art activations down there. It's just a really nice experience. We started this last year. The kids have fun. The adults have fun. We're only going to be out there for about 45 minutes. It starts at 10 o'clock a.m. on the 29th, and we wrap up by, like I said, 11 o'clock. We walk for 30 to 45 minutes. We have the bubbles. If you register in advance, we make sure we have bubbles and water for everyone. And that event as well, if teachers show up and they bring their ID, we'll have some special gifts, and we'll have a few resources as well.
Like school ID, or because I don't have a
teachers
okay.
have their current school ID. Did they give you an ID?
No, but I can make one.
So teachers show up with their ID. Again, we will have a special gift for them. So it's all about, again, awareness and fundraising. We want more people to know that we exist, as well as help us help teachers and help school communities.
Absolutely. And in terms of, so as you were talking about that, I think about obviously back to school season, and I'm wondering for you all, if you had any advice. I'm thinking about, I know a lot of younger teachers that's earlier in career around my age, but anybody who's getting prepared for, well, especially working with the youth, but anybody who's getting prepared to teach anything this fall, what advice do you have for people to be able to have a strong start to the year that's going to be able to help kind of carry you on through like the dog day, so to speak, of like the school year?
Well, as a teacher, I have for the teachers, two things. One, start the way you want to finish. Ironically, I was at a teacher event last weekend, and that was a question. One of the teachers mentioned how she was trying to get her classroom management in order. She was like, yeah, come in. And then, I'm real nice the first. No, you start the way you want to finish. You got to go in there with your classroom management firm, and you have to be consistent. I think that is one of the major keys to success when it comes to classroom management for you and for your students. Because regretfully, a lot of our students come from spaces where they don't have consistency and they don't have structure, regretfully. So when they come in your room, and if they know well, each day we do this, we do that, and there's structure and you're consistent, you're not up and down and all over the place with your own emotions and things like that, it creates a better learning space environment for everyone involved. Like I say, healthy teachers make better teachers. So start the way you want to finish, and just make sure you make some time for yourself. One of the things that I implemented in the last 5 years of my career, I call the Sacred Saturdays, where I took one day of the week. We want to get spiritual. God said you needed a day of rest. I took one day of the week that I did absolutely no work. I don't care. Unless it was like something that was totally mandatory, I would get fired. It had nothing to do with work. It was all about me. And it wasn't that I had a day to sit around because it was Saturday and it was the busiest day of the week because you have all these things going on with family. But it was the fact that I took that day and made myself, my family, all those things a priority outside of work. And that way I felt rejuvenated, like on Sunday, at least, that I did have a day to do. Rather, I got to sit down or I was running around, that had nothing to do with work. So take a day for yourself, ideally, if you can, once a week.
Okay.
I would say shore up your preparation and your planning so that routines and implementation is well planned out. And definitely working on building relationships, because if you don't have those relationships, you can't reach anyone or teach anyone if you can't reach them. So that's very important.
Ditto to what they said. The two words that stuck out to me was consistency and then relationship. I think if you have those two ingredients, be consistent, build the relationships, that's power in that.
Yeah. And one thing that I definitely want to make sure that I touch on, because for me, I always got good grades, but at certain points in time, I remember specifically like that once I got comfortable in school, I became a problem. I had a smart mouth. So I would be giving my teachers or some teachers trouble. So I'm wondering, how do you handle challenging learners or the people who want to test you or try your gangster, so to speak?
Try your gangster. That's a good one.
You like, I know if we was outside this classroom, we have a discussion, but because I like what I do and I want to keep doing it, this is how I got to handle it.
Well, of course, as you stated earlier on, there's a lot of years of experience here.
Yes.
So I'm sure we all have quite a few stories. And I think one of the common threads in my career in terms of challenging students, because Lord knows you have them every year, sometimes more than others, I would say just trying to find a space, a meeting, a halfway point where we could agree on some things, and recognizing, of course, that we're the adults and they're the students. And no matter what they do, we still have to be the adults. But again, just try to meet them where they're at and figure out why, you may not know why, but figure out a way to help them just have an easier time in your classroom, a better time, and build that relationship to the best of your ability, where you can have a meeting of the minds in some shape or form. It may not work all the time, but at least you're trying. Don't give up. You just figure out a way to work it out.
Mm-hmm.
Establishing very strong consequences for, well, not, I wouldn't say strong, but firm consequences that they understand why there's a consequence, but that I am here to help you, to support you. But if you make this choice, then this is your consequence. And so if you have relationships, children generally will understand that. So
I think, getting to know their story.
yes.
I think kids come into the classroom with so many things, but sometimes there's so much going on in their lives. And I experience that even with high school kids. But just, getting to know their story helps you better understand how to reach them and to take that. Sometimes they just need a moment. I mean, one of the things I would always tell kids, if you're having a bad day, just let me know. Let me know, walk through the door. Hey, it's one of those days this morning, Miss Jack, because a lot of kids are getting their siblings ready in the morning, feeding their siblings in the morning. They have so many things in today's world that, I didn't have to deal with growing up. So, just understanding their story, I think a little bit sometimes can help you better understand how to work with them and meet them where they are, because it's not just about curriculum, it's about their whole story, right?
Exactly.
So.
And I think people forget that teachers will want students themselves. So what y'all used to get in trouble for?
I had a smart mouth.
I was shy. Remember, I said that about 5 times. So
Talking too much.
Yes.
Yeah, that wasn't. I was shy.
So you don't get in trouble for being shy.
Listen,
she didn't get in trouble. That's what
she's
trying
saying
to
she
tell
didn't get in
us.
trouble.
Listen,
Right.
She the one we was looking at like, you make us sick.
I didn't. I was that shy kid. I was a kid that I was a nerd. I would sit with the kids at the table that nobody else sat with. I mean, really, I was just, I don't know. So that's why people helping you find my way through and find my voice was very instrumental for me. But yeah.
That's hard to believe. You're so cool now.
Right, exactly. Exactly. And that's why you do such a wonderful job of helping other students find their voice.
Well, Miss Dunlap, certainly. Thank you.
So in terms of like being able to continue to help teachers with their overall wellness and well-being, that's something that is often, from conversations that I've had over the years, often kind of put last when it comes to people in education.
Yes.
I think because of the workload and then also possibly the demeanor and some of the innate abilities of someone who wants to be a teacher to serve. And then so you kind of put yourself last and on the back burner. So I wanted to ask you all, why is teacher wellness so much more important or emphasized? Obviously, you are doing the work to be able to support with that, but why should that be of more importance in today's society?
Well, one thing, just as we mentioned with students, is so much going on in the world today. People have so many things that they're carrying with them that, again, I can't say it enough. Like the teacher's feelings and all of those things impacts the learning. And so we want them to show up for students. We want them to show up and build these relationships and all those things. But if they're not right, if their life is totally chaotic and nobody's pouring into them and they just like barely from an empty cup showing up, it impacts everything that goes on in that school and in that classroom. And so I do believe that it's just a matter of, it's the time. We need to be mindful of that and pour into those teachers so that they can service the students in all of their needs and all the things that are going on with them.
How do you kind of see the ecosystem of, because your work has graduated from just strictly working with teachers to also working with families and the students and the parents, which I think is very important as well, and a forgotten aspect to students learning education. What would you say to encourage families to be more involved in their students' progression as learners? Because obviously, a lot of parents got different stuff going on, and I'm sure you all have experienced it, where you got life going on, and then so it's kind of hard to be at parent-teacher conferences and all that type of stuff. But what would you say, like at minimum, would you encourage them to do in order to give their child that much of an edge to be able to succeed, and have that much more juice to be able to succeed in the classroom and beyond?
Well, I would say just from my work with the Bridging Wellness and Learning program right now, where we interact with the entire school community, do what you can with what you have. You know, regretfully, oftentimes, you know, in life, especially adults, it's just so much going on. You kind of want to pull back, but you can't do that when your students are in school because there's so much going on. Just do what you can. And it's amazing how just a little bit of interaction, engagement, support can go a long way, because your students know what you're facing as a child in the house. They can see what their parents are going through, but again, a little bit can go a long way. So do something. If it's just show up for one parent-teacher conference, go to one reading night, do something a little extra to build that bridge between the school and your household.
Real quick, my mama used to get mad at me because I wanted her to go to parent-teacher conference, and she was like, "You got good grades. Like, what I need to go to parent-teacher conference for? I just want you to be there." But yes, I had to throw that in there. Well, the honor roll student.
You had to throw that in there too, right?
Shameless plug.
Yes, of course. So build a bridge. Do what you can. Every little bit counts.
I would say communication is key. And so a lot of parents, if they can't be there, just say, I can't be there. Is there something else that I can do? Hey, I'm willing to cut the resources that the teacher may need, like on my lunch break or over the weekend. So any little piece that they can do to pour into that school or classroom community is important.
Yes.
I love it when, Jackie, you said, do what you can do when you can do it.
Right.
You know, that's powerful because, you know, so much is going on in people's homes, in the schools.
Yes.
But just being present in whatever way you can. And now we have so many ways. If you can't be there at a parent-teacher conference, virtual phone call, you know, you can do a FaceTime with 2 people on it. I mean, just showing up somehow for your kid, or I'm thinking about as a parent with the children, showing up somehow, right? But just, there's so many ways. And sometimes that one question a day, you know, how was your day? You know, even through a text. Now kids on the phone, how was your day today? You know, you can, there's just so many ways. But I love that. Doing what you can when you can, how you can do it and when you can do it. Yeah.
Most definitely.
Yes.
And real quick, Mrs. Dunlap, you're an author. So you have published multiple books, a workbook, and then also a book of like your journal entries to be able to kind of talk people through your experience as a teacher. So I wanted to give you space to talk about that real quick, about your books and do your plug for your the things that you have authored.
Okay, so as you stated, I started out with my first book, which is basically my story, pouring from an empty cup, cracked and leaking cup. And that was, again, one teacher's spiritual journey through education. So it gave the ups and downs of my career and how I ended up where I am today. And then there is A Path to Wellness, a teacher's workbook. That is the workbook that we utilize in our workplace wellness program. That curriculum, utilizing all those skills that we built over the years of writing curriculum, I felt I would put it to use for TSTE. And it walks the teachers through our program throughout the year. In addition to, we meet like 10 times. There are more than 10 chapters, so a number of ways that they can pour into their own well-being. And then the final book is Everyday Wellness, Build Your Own Path. I'm sorry, I can't remember the name. For anyone who is an adult looking for ways to enhance their own wellness. And so we always give that book to our parents in our Bridging Wellness and Learning schools.
So you spent years teaching curriculum, obviously, and then building curriculum, but did you ever think that you was going to be the person where the curriculum, like you create the curriculum and now other people got to implement it. Because I know in college, I thought it was a boss move, but well, not at the time. I thought they finessed us when the professor wrote the book that we got to buy to take class. But now I realize I'm like, okay, that's a boss move, and probably how you really like do things at the highest level economically when you're in academia. But was wondering if you ever thought you would ever be in this space as an author.
No, I did not think that I would be doing that like they did. Like you said, make us buy their book to take the class. But it did work out that way. And you're right, it is a boss move, because I was like, wow, we do continue to buy my book to run this program. But we implement other resources as well. But I do agree that I did not think of that when I wrote the book. I just thought about, I wanted to have a resource, because the teachers told me that they needed to go deeper, and we were only with them so many minutes a day. And I felt like one of the best ways to do that was to provide them with a resource that allowed them to reflect. So there's the reflection questions and all the things, and it ties into, again, the actual curriculum that we utilize in the workplace wellness program.
Very nice. And as we land the plane here, we'd like to know for you all what's next for the organization, and then what's next for you all individually, and what you see in your crystal ball, so we can speak into existence and then see it come into fruition long after the podcast. So, Nishak, I'm going to start with you, and then we'll make our way around.
I just want to continue to doing the work that I do, expand it in the ways that I can. I'm looking to hopefully, I've reached out to some retired teachers that can help me in the buildings that I'm going into. So that's a blessing, because, I can't do it all. It's hard. You try to bring in people to support. So that's my goal, is just to continue to be able to do the work that I'm doing, Yeah.
So,
I would say the same. I am approaching retirement in the next 4 to 5 years. So I do want to finish strong. Hopefully I will be blessed to finish out the remaining years. And then I want to move on to help in another capacity.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I don't know what that is just yet.
Excuse me.
Definitely, I will definitely still be with TST.
Yes. Counting the days,
Yes.
the years.
I say you got to join we all retired teachers. I'm retired.
Yes,
I'm getting
for
back in,
sure.
but I'm retired for the time being. So yeah, join us.
For sure.
All right. So for teachers supporting teachers everywhere, I see us, being able to support more schools, more teachers, not just in the Metro Detroit area. That's where the everywhere comes in. We've already supported teachers from coast to coast in various ways through our Project Refuel. We've sent the packages all the way to California, multiple places in Michigan, to continue that work and potentially find ways to bring on more teachers. We're always looking for ambassadors that can really get in and do the program, help us run the program. And as far as myself going forward, looking forward to hopefully one day step on the side as the executive director and seeing this work being carried forward.
Gotcha. And where can people reach out if they want to make sure that they put in that donation for TSTE, and if they want to participate in events, get more information, where can they find you? What's all the handles, website, all that good stuff?
Okay, so of course, everyone, Instagram, all things TST. You can check us out there. The information for the fundraisers, like the $10 Tuesday, $5 Friday, will be out there. You could use those platforms, PayPal, Cash App, and Givelify, as well as we're on Facebook. Just put in Teacher Supporting Teachers. You'll find us. And then the website. Kind of odd, but teachers4teachers.space. And that's a whole nother conversation. But teachers4teachers.space. Or just type in Teacher Supporting Teachers. 9 times out of 10, we're going to show up.
Absolutely.
Look for the apple.
The apple.
Yes.
You know you're in the right place.
Apple, so that means I'm official.
Yes, exactly.
But I'm grateful for y'all. I'm grateful for y'all from a personal level, obviously, but then also appreciative for the work that you all have been able to do through your own experiences and then TSTE as well. and thankful, Mrs. Dunlap, for letting me be a part of the ride from the inception and like going from building a website to you doing one thing, and then now like you have all of this programming going on. It's truly a blessing to be able to see, and wish you all much success and luck moving forward. And I'm still be there part of the ride. So I'm looking forward to it being a good one. So thank you all.
And one other thing, and reason why we became teachers supporting teachers, because I always said no one understood the life of a teacher like another teacher. And so that led me again to the name Teacher Support Teachers.
Amen.
All right.
Everybody watching, listening, we're going to tap in with y'all soon. Peace.
Thank you.
Peace.
That's a wrap.